So again, thank you all for being here. As you know, my name is Amina Toller. I'm the 4th Ward Counselor here at Montclair, New Jersey Township. Tonight I have with me Deputy Mayor Susan Shin Anderson. I will call her up a little later in the evening. Just some housekeeping items, please and thank you. If you have your phones, please silence them so that we can hear each other and hear the presentations that are being presented tonight. So in my last meeting in July of this year, I shared with residents the upcoming council meetings, and I've asked everybody to take out their phone and take a picture and or write down these dates. It's imperative that you know when the council's meeting. It's imperative that residents come out to these meetings to listen and know what's on the agenda. So just take a moment. If you don't know the dates, if you need pen or paper, let me know, and we'll get it to you. But I highly encourage residents to please, please, please make sure you try and attend at least 1 or 2 council meetings, just so you're aware of what your tax money is doing. Next thing I wanted to share is some upcoming events here within Montclair. This Saturday is the Fall Festival at St. Mark's Church. That's a free event. Please stop by and check out the vendors and some of the great things going on there. On Wednesday, the 25th of September, the Montclair Public Library, this is for parents, and if your grandparents are here and you have children in the school, let your grandkids know that the Montclair Public Library is offering navigating college admissions, and I think that's very important. That's also free. There are additional dates available on the Montclair Public Library's website where you can find the other sessions if the 25th does not work for you and your family. The other event we have is September 28th at the Montclair History Center located on Orange Road. It's another fall festival. It's a great event. Hopefully, you guys can take your families and get some Montclair history there. The next event we have is there's Hispanic Heritage Day at the Montclair Public Library. There's a celebrated author who will be there, and it's from 1 to 2. If you have time, stop by and meet the author. Next one, son. Thank you, Tony. Okay, Sunday, September 29th is the Walnut Street Fair. That's a fun one. Lots of vendors, lots of people out on the streets and about. That's another free event. Just walk through, say hi if you wish, see the vendors, get some food from the food trucks. Friday, October 4th, the Montclair branch of the NAACP will be having their annual Thurgood Marshall Freedom Fund Awards and Scholarship Dinner. Their guest speaker this year is Yusef Salaam. If you're interested in buying tickets, you would have to visit the NAACP's website, and it will guide you from there. Saturday, October 5th, our fire department is hosting a block party. Yay! This event will be held at Nishawane Park. This is another free event. Bring your family, your friends, your grandkids, and enjoy the day. The fire department will have giveaways, food, drinks, not alcohol. And they'll have some on-hand training for the kids, like the kids can learn how to hold a fire hose, et cetera. So it should be a good day there at Nishawane. The last event that I have is Friends of the How House on Saturday, October 12th. We are sponsoring the Fannie Lou Hamer 1964 Decision of Summer speech. That is also a free event. If you're interested in attending that, we do need you to register. You can visit friendsofthehowhouse.org to register, completely free. Thank you, Tony. This is put out by the township. This is a meet and greet for small businesses. These are the dates if you want to stop by. We've had 2 already, I believe. It's a little blurry, but it's also on the township website. So if you're interested in meeting some of the new small businesses in town, feel free to stop by on one of these days. Okay, to where? Crane Park tomorrow. Okay, thank you, Susan. I'm sorry, Councilor Anderson Shin. Next one, again, this was at my last meeting. Again, this is our township website address if you don't know it. If you're not registered for SWIFT 911, please do so. This keeps you up to date on town emergencies and other events that may be happening that you may need to know about ASAP. Go online, you can register through the township website. Okay, Tony. Back to our township committees. During my first meeting, we talked about residents being a part of our town government, if you will. We desperately are asking residents if you think you have an interest in being a volunteer and on one of these committees, to, again, visit our website. There's a volunteer interest form. The numbers in red indicate that we actually had 3, but now we have 2. So some people are signing up. Again, I highly encourage people, if you have an interest, fill out the form, and it will get to the council and we can review them. Same thing with our commissions. We did have a few people apply. Some of the numbers have gone down, but we still have some slots available. Put in the application, the township clerk gets it to the full council, and we'll review them. The Faulkner Act. Many of you may know or may not know that our government is run through the Faulkner Act. This was adopted back in 1980. They adopted the council manager plan. And the reason I'm sharing this is because some people may not understand that the council, we are really just one person, one vote. Some people may not understand the power the township manager has, and we work with him. The council manager plan is only one directly elected power center, the council, the manager, while chief executive and administrative officer of the municipality is appointed by the council and can be suspended and removed by a majority of the council. The manager's function is to carry out the will of the council. People often come to me and, Amina, we need this, can we do that? And I always tell them I'm one vote, one voice. Okay, I have to work with my colleagues. We have to get to a consensus before anything can be done. Our township manager's email is there. I'm just putting it up there as an FYI. If you need to reach him, you can always email him if you can't reach one of us. Next one, Sony. Nope, the other way. This is the Faulkner Act continued. The power and the function, as I just mentioned, of the council in this council manager plan is that all powers of municipality and the determination of all matters of public policy shall be vested in the municipal council, except as otherwise provided by this act or by general law. The council manager plan is a legislative supremacy, and thus the setting of policy is the responsibility of the council alone. What does that mean to you? Why do you ask? You say to yourself, what it means is we, the council and the mayor, we're all equals. We have no executive powers. We must work as a group, as I mentioned, to come to a consensus or get a majority of 4 votes out of the 7. Okay, so to pass any resolution or ordinance, it takes 4 votes. Not one of us can do anything without 3 other votes. So I just wanted to make sure people were totally clear on how we operate under the Faulkner Act. Next slide. Some updates for you while this isn't town related. I wanted to share about the Senior Freeze program. There are some flyers on the table outside. This is for people 65 and older. The deadline to apply is October 31st of this year. There is information on our township website, and if you have any questions, there's a link there that you can click on and ask, but there are also some flyers on the table. So if you're over 65, you're definitely eligible for the senior tax freeze. The reason I'm sharing this is because last year, a lot of people didn't apply, and there was a lot of money left on the table. So if you're over the age of 65, you've been in your home, this is where you want to apply. Thank you. Okay, the next one is anchor benefits. This is for renters and homeowners as well. The deadline to apply for that is November 30th, and there's information on our township website for that too. Next slide. We have a polling place update. So for the residents in the 4th Ward, as you can see, for the upcoming election, which is tomorrow, okay? We were originally at Nishawane School. The new location is now Trinity Church. So if you're going to vote tomorrow in your District 6 and Ward 4, you definitely want to go to Trinity Church. Please don't go to Nishawane because there will be no polling places there, okay? If anybody needs a minute to take a picture or write that down, feel free. Okay, next one, Tony. 5G ordinance. Now, we've gotten some emails from residents who have gotten some letters in their mailboxes from Optum, I guess. And I wanted to share that this ordinance, if you will, has been in place since 2010 with the township. This is prior to my arrival. This is already in place. I've asked the township manager to please put an update on the website for those people that have gotten these notices. Apparently, this is in place. They are allowed to be here. They will be putting these fiber optic cables underground is what I understand. Now, as far as access to people's yards, I've heard some horror stories. I don't know how true it is, but we do have Norma Tassi here with us today if we need to ask her any questions about this. But it is on the books. It has been approved. And again, there are updates on our website. If you have any concerns, of course, you can always email the township manager if you have serious concerns about someone entering your backyard. Next slide. I like to share project updates with residents in the 4th Ward because all of these are happening in the 4th Ward. Currently, 400 Orange Road is planned for a subdivision. 5 Wheeler Street is planned for a subdivision. 61 Mission Street is going from a 2-family to a 1-family. 86 Mission Street is going to be a kind of a church educational program space. 10 Infield, they're adding 2 stories to their home, and the Z behind each of those addresses means that it's in front of the zoning board at the moment. 12 to 16 Pleasant Avenue is currently in front of our Historic Preservation Committee. Again, just sharing with the residents so you understand what's happening here. I believe 400 Orange Road, a resident in the 4th Ward, is gathering people. She's having a meeting here Monday, the 23rd at 6:30 regarding the subdivision because it's still in front of the zoning board. So if you're interested in learning more about the do's and the don'ts, the yeses and the nos of that project, I highly recommend you come back on the 23rd here at 6:30. Right here in this room. Yes, ma'am. Next slide. I wanted to talk about R1 zoning because it's a segue into the first slide. If people aren't familiar with R1 zoning means, just take a minute and read that. I won't read through all of it, but I know that I've heard from residents in the past about the amount of development, if you will, in the 4th Ward. This is why, okay? I think if you have some concerns, I recommend that people attend the zoning board meetings. You know, I can't tell you what to say or do or what to be happy or mad about, but what I can do is at least share with you what an R1 zone is, and that's the 4th Ward. Next slide, Tony. Again, more on R1 zoning, just for your information. Take some time and read it. All of this is available on our township website. Okay. There's a meeting coming up tomorrow regarding 61 Mission Street. So I'm only highlighting letter B because letter A is not in the 4th Ward. People are allowed to speak at zoning board meetings during public comment. If you have something you wish to say about a project, whether you like it or don't like it, you're welcome to do that. So I'm just sharing with you. All of this is on the township website. I recommend that people take a time and visit our website. Just click around and see what's there. It's the best way to learn. Next slide. Lackawanna update. I'm sure people have some questions or concerns regarding Lackawanna. The 3 bullets up there, I can't go into great detail. There are lawsuits against the project at this time. The current council tends to assign the developer's name to the plan during our upcoming council meeting. At this moment, the status to any alterations of the plan remains unclear, one, because of the lawsuits, and we're not really at liberty to talk about it. So if you have questions about that, just hold them to the end and we'll try to get as many answers for you. I know people want a supermarket. I know people have concerns about traffic and density. If we can get to those questions at the end, I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. Van Vleck Gardens wanted me to just let you guys know that they are here, they are open. Visit their website. They have wonderful programs available for family and children. Most of them are free. So if you've never been to the Van Vleck Gardens, please make sure you stop by or at least visit their website, and it's the montclairfoundation.org. Next, we're going to have a presentation from our health department, if they're ready. Okay, so Amy, you can come on up.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I wanted to thank Councilor Toller for inviting us to talk about what we're doing at the health department. And I have some of my team with me here today. So Peggy, our director of nursing, is going to talk about nursing in a little bit. Vanessa DeSources is our childhood-led prevention coordinator. And Bob Jernick is one of our inspectors. So I'm going to give you just a quick overview, and then they're going to talk about their respective areas. So the Department of Health and Human Services oversees several divisions. So today we're going to just talk about the public health piece, but we also oversee senior services, and we have some brochures and their flyers. Vital statistics, where you would come in for marriage, licenses, birth certificates, those sorts of things. The Housing Choice Voucher Program is under Health and Human Services. The Office of Sustainability, Lisa Johnson, who I know presented here, I believe at the last meeting, and the Animal Shelter and Animal Control. So these are all part of Health and Human Services. Okay. So I wanted to just talk about the components of a local health department. So these are the essential components, and this is required under state statute. So we need to have public health nurses, a health educator, and registered environmental health specialists, which are the health inspectors. So that's why I brought a representative from each area this evening. And we do a lot of work behind the scenes. So the nurses do disease investigations. So of course, during COVID, many people got phone calls when they were positive or they were maybe exposed to someone who was positive. We do school immunization audits to make sure that everyone's complying with their immunizations, or if they're claiming exemption, we also make a note of that. The retail food establishments, all the restaurants in town as well as grocery stores, those all get inspected by Bob and his colleagues. And then rodent control, which unfortunately has been an issue of late, we also address that as one of our components. And I've worked with Jason, formerly from the bid, on a lot of those issues. So we're constantly, responding to complaints. Could be a rodent complaint, it could be other complaints, and Bob will talk a little bit more about that. So as I said, our presenters are going to be Peggy, Vanessa, and Bob, and Peggy is going to talk to you first about nursing.
All right, I have to get I'm one of 8 children, so maybe you can hear me from here, but I will use the mic.
Okay.
Just give
Just that to go forward.
Okay. This one here. Whoops, I'm already causing problems.
Yeah, usually they have
Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Peggy Brodowski. I'm Director of Nursing for the Montclair Health Department, and I'm happy to be here tonight to talk about public health nursing. The mic, I'm sorry. And I'm tall too. One of the big parts of our job every day is to look at communicable disease investigations. We work with our partners from the State Department of Health, and we work with a system called CDRSS, and we receive labs that are positive for a number of diseases. And we will work to reach out to the doctor to make sure they're aware, and sometimes it necessitates a phone call to the resident to discuss the lab result, to inform them about some healthy measures that need to be taken, such as control measures. Sometimes it might be a household exposure of, say, pertussis, and household people may need antibiotics. So there's a lot of education that goes into it. We also maintain confidentiality. We're well aware of HIPAA, so that is another big component of our job. A next thing that we're also involved in is vaccinations. And we have a wonderful resource table over there. If later on you could take a look at some of the flyers. This is one. Vanessa did this one recently. And it's going to talk about the adult immunization program and our vaccine for children adolescent immunization program. So we have 2 different programs. The adolescent program is for age 11 to 18. And then the adult program is for age 19 and older. And it's primarily for uninsured, and for children it would be if they have New Jersey Family Care A. But we have the vaccines readily available at the health department. We have clinics twice a month. We try to take it by appointment so that we are fair to everyone. But with the children in particular, we really try to work with the parent schedule. So if you need to come in, before work, before school, we'll accommodate you. If you want to get the child out of school early and get the vaccine, we'll work with you with that. Lead case management, I'm going to talk a little bit more about lead, but that's another major responsibility of nursing and also environmental, is the lead case management program for children with elevated blood levels. Okay, and the next thing would be blood pressure screenings at the senior citizen buildings. And again, we have a little flyer here, and it's over on the table. We go to all the different senior citizen buildings and our community centers to do blood pressure screenings. We also have health screenings and partnerships with many people. I see Zufall here today, and we should have had you on this as well. But we also work with the SAVE program, which is the Screening Access Value for Essex, and Screen New Jersey, and these are programs out of the Rutgers Cancer Center, where we bring on-site mammogram and pap smears for residents. We also have partnerships on various health screenings with the hospitals. Another big responsibility is immunization audits, and that keeps us very busy. So we, have Montclair, but we also have shared services with Cedar Grove and Verona. So we will go to every child care center, every school, and we and look at their immunization record. So every preschool child, we look at their immunization record, and also try to assist with if they need referrals for vaccines to get them caught up. So lead, as we know, is a metal, and it is toxic to young children, especially for their brain and their nervous system. And we know that lead is found in many, many things. Of course, in paint, in older homes prior to 1978, but it's in cosmetics, it's in spices, it's in candy, it can be in cultural home remedies, it could be in pottery, it can be in toys. It also can be in soil, it can be in pipes. Today we were working with one of the families that has a child with an elevated lead, and our health inspectors were testing spices and also toys to make sure that they were okay to remain in the home since the child's lead was elevated. We had 26 cases in 2023, and currently we have 9 open cases. So how we get a lead level is, in the state of New Jersey, the action level for a blood level to be reported to the health department would be a 5. The CDC has a lower level. They have a 3.5. So if a child has a 3.5, it's elevated. In New Jersey right now, it's a 5, and they want to bring it down to a 3.5. The point is we don't want children to be exposed to lead, and we want to take action immediately if we get a little elevation, even an elevation of a 3.5. So that's a little bit about how the lead levels get reported to the health department. Any home built before 1978 has a high chance of lead in the home, specifically in the paint. And that's just because, the homes may be older and there's wear and tear on the homes, the windows, friction, closing doors will create paint chips and dust. And thereby that could then get exposed, through the window and get on the toys of the child, or the baby's crawling on the floor and picking up the dust. So those are the ways that the child could be exposed. Children should be tested at 12 and 24 months, and pregnant women should also be tested. We have a couple of screenings coming up, and the flyers are over there. We partner with Mountainside Family Practice Group, and we will do the testing. We did a couple in Montclair in the spring, and now we have 2 more coming up in September and in October, September 25th and October 2nd, I think it is. We do a lot with Lead Poisoning and Prevention Week, which is coming up October 20th to the 26th. So we'll be partnering with the preschools. We're going to be going to the Geyer Family Y, meeting families and just educating them about sources of lead, prevention, and such. When an elevated blood level is received, the nurse case manager is in charge and will follow the case from start to finish. The nurses really get involved with the parents in terms of, again, what control measures need to be started, what follow-up testing need to be done, what nutrition things they need to incorporate. We want calcium, we want iron, we want vitamin C, we want all these things to prevent the absorption of lead. So we talk to them about nutrition and work with them very closely. If the case meets a certain requirement, then the environmental will become involved, and Bob may speak to that a little bit in terms of the environmental part. So in the state of New Jersey now, there is funding that is available for homes for lead abatement. And one of our partners that we're working with, and we have the flyer over there, unfortunately they couldn't be here tonight, but is United Community Corporation. And they have a program right now, and I have some good handouts on it over there, where we've worked with them before on a previous grant where they assisted us with a family that didn't have the money to get rid of the lead in the home, the abatement. We call it abatement. And they worked with us and were able to abate 2 homes, one in Montclair that we had, and then one in Verona that we were working with. So now, that was for homes that would qualify by low income, and now this program has low income and moderate income eligibility. So there is a criteria. We do have a contact person, but it is something that you may be interested in, and if you have more questions, I'll be happy to ask. You can ask me. I left my business card over there. We'd be happy to talk to you about it. So what's involved with this would be the United Community Corporation would do some testing. They have what they call a risk assessor that would come to the home, and then depending on what they find, qualifications would be it could be a 1 to 4 family residential property, and the key is prior to 1978 because after that, then the government there was no more lead in the paint. So. And then if there's an identified lead-based pain hazard or a medical history, those are qualification. And also it must meet the income guidelines. And those are the income guidelines. Those are the income guidelines, and also we have that on the paper up there. Okay, COVID-19, what our public health nurses did. So we were very fortunate with that we had a vaccine program already established in Montclair Health Department, so that when we already had the freezers, we already had the data loggers, we had the refrigerators, so we could receive the vaccine from the government. And we were fortunate when the federal response was there because we could really give it to everyone. Everyone was eligible, employees, community members, residents. We vaccinated homebound individuals. So we were very involved with that. We were involved with on-site vaccination clinics for vulnerable populations. We ended up going to the senior buildings and partnering. We ended up going to unique areas to vaccinate. We were also fortunate, of course, to have Essex County's response, their health department's response with the clinics. We also partnered with them and would volunteer at their clinics to help vaccinate. But we took it more to the local level where we would go on site to the buildings, libraries, we went to restaurants, Cafe Mosa, we popped up little clinics. So you might have seen us out and about during that time. We also were involved with case investigations and contact tracing. And another big thing that we do, and unfortunately we're still doing, is managing outbreaks in child care centers, in schools, and Montclair State University. So, we have the jurisdiction over the different towns. And so those child care centers, if they have a number of cases, a spike in cases, whatever it is, hand, foot, and mouth, or COVID, or any other, disease, they would communicate with us. And again, we're like the middleman to the State Department of Health. So we listen to what they have, we report it to the state, they give us the recommendations, we share the recommendations. So we're trying to keep people on the healthy side of what's going on. We also did work very well with long-term care facilities. We're still managing them in terms of outbreaks. We have a little bit of uptick of COVID, unfortunately. We're still seeing it. So we're still dealing with working with them in terms of control measures and management. I thought this was a really jarring picture. And as you can see, it talks about public health before and after. And here we are, like 100+ years separate this, but it's, the Spanish flu and then the COVID-19 pandemic. The similarities are all there. And of course, we've learned a lot from pandemics, of course. But there's other things that we've been a part of in terms of public health all along. I've been 20 years in public health. And we worked with different emerging viruses and diseases like the H1N1, the swine flu, where we had to vaccinate all the kids. And we, in 2015 and 16, we had Zika, and all the women that traveled and were exposed to mosquitoes and needed testing, we were involved. And then some of you may remember with Ebola, the fright with that and the management, and then people that still travel to those areas needed to be monitored. And we would monitor them, people that did travel. We had to check with them almost daily for symptoms. They had to check their temperatures, and they had our cell phones so they could call us at any point. So we're kind of always there, and we're always reachable if needed. And of course, another thing that's concerning now is the bird flu, right? The H5N1. We're hearing about that. So that's another thing our CDC and our State Department of Health is monitoring and would be working with us in case we needed to educate or make any other further steps. I'll go to the next one. So these are just some examples of where we were. So we would try to go to places where people maybe didn't feel comfortable going to the county clinic. Nothing against the police presence and everything, but some people, maybe they were undocumented and they were afraid to be seen in a clinic. So we would go to places where they would feel comfortable and bring the vaccine right to them. We already had the coolers, we had everything we needed to get rolling. We were in the basement. This is a basement of a senior building. This is I believe this is the Montclair Inn. And as you can see, a lot went into precautions and bringing it right on site to the individuals that, had transportation issues and whatnot and would be considered vulnerable. This was an interesting one. We actually went to a cookie factory in Cedar Grove, and I think, at least vaccinated 60 employees that wouldn't have been vaccinated. So this was, this was an example of how far-reaching we could get. This was one from the Human Needs Food Pantry, and we've partnered with them with a number of initiatives. We'll be doing flu for them again, and COVID. Another one. As I speak about COVID too, I just want to say, now things are different in terms of, the federal response is no longer declaring it a pandemic, so the vaccination rollout is different. In other words, at the health department, we're still able to vaccinate, but it would be for uninsured individuals. But we have the vaccine and we're getting it. We ordered it. So we definitely want to help if we can still help. Right now, it would be readily available at the pharmacies. It's streamlined to them now. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. What we've done this year in Montclair is we do like to get out and about. So we do some tabling events. They were at Earth Day. We were at Pride, Juneteenth. We just did the BE Ministries Health Fair. They had a beautiful day recently. We were also at the South End Health Fair last week. They were also at the Montclair State Employee Health Fair. We do some health screenings. You could see our buses there pulling up, in partnership, and on the Save Mammogram and Pap smears, we had about 27 women that were seen that day for either or. And most of them were uninsured. Screen New Jersey also, skin cancer screening was done. So again, we talk about flu and COVID vaccine administration, and Human Needs Food Pantry is one of our stops. And we talked about the lead screenings as well. You can imagine the size of this bus to pull up. Luckily, we had some parking available near our municipal building, but they're amazing program to be partnered, and we're very fortunate to have a lot of great community partners. And here's the Screen New Jersey skin cancer screening. Another thing to mention is we'll be partnering again for the Mayor's Wellness Campaign. For prior to COVID, a couple of years, Montclair was named for a Healthy Town designation in New Jersey, and we're looking to get that back up again. So you'll be hearing and seeing different programs linked to the Mayor's Wellness Campaign and different initiatives. So here's our Montclair Pride. That was a real great day. And, you know, this is just a great group to work with. Everybody really does care. I mean, we say we're the health department, but we know that we're the help department. And so, again, if we can help, just give us a call. This was Mountainside Family Practice, another partner for the lead screenings. This was the mammography day, and Pride again. And I'm going to turn it over to Vanessa. And Vanessa, I made a hot mess up here, but you can step forward. And I will give you this is how you're gonna, that one. All righty. Oh, I'm sorry, did I do something to you? Oh, brother. It's nerve-wracking up here.
Okay, before I get started, do you guys want to take a stretch break? I feel like we're a little tense in here. Come on, everyone stand up for a quick second. Do a quick turn, do a quick stretch. 30 seconds, just 30 seconds. All right, and I'm gonna get started. So I'm just gonna give you a quick little summary of what health education has done from January to June 2024. By title, I'm the childhood lead prevention coordinator, but I am also a certified health education specialist. So sometimes I wear my different hat at the health department. So these are some things that we've done and or created over the last couple of months. We did the 2023 Health Department Annual Report. So that includes basically everything that we did in 2023. That includes nursing, environmental, animal shelter, every division of our health department, and it includes all the highlights, all the accomplishments that we did throughout that year. The next thing we did is we finally collaborated to do opioid first aid training with the Montclair Ambulance Unit. We actually were able to award the Montclair Ambulance Unit a grant through funding from the state. So we were able to get that program started. Now they kind of took control of the program and they can helm it on their own, but it was great to collaborate with them. We also collaborate with various coalitions in the area. That includes the Montclair Community Farms, who has a very huge presence here in Montclair. And we also partner with the Healthy Essex Coalition, among others. I also create the monthly health department newsletter, which you can find on the township website, which includes a monthly health topic, and it updates on anything happening in public health that needs to be updated on, which includes flu, COVID vaccine rollout, or any emerging communicable diseases that needs to be addressed. There's a listen and learn podcast video section where you can use your phone, scan a QR code, and listen to a health podcast on a health topic for the month. And it includes upcoming events and screening opportunities available through us and through our community partners. I also help with program and screening scheduling and coordination with our lovely nursing department. And I also helm the creation of various health education materials. So this could be a monthly awareness topic infographic, it could be a pest prevention series, heat-related illness prevention, communicable disease updates, guidelines, and chronic disease education, among many other things. I do community outreach and tabling along with our nurses. This could be at Montclair Pride, Montclair State University events, various health fairs, Juneteenth, etc. And we just finished up a collaboration with the Rutgers Expanded Food and Nutrition Education Program, where we offered a 10-week series on how to improve your nutrition. Okay. And on the childhood lead side, we have 2 prevention programs. Peggy kind of spoke to the lead screenings already. We have screenings at our health department in collaboration with the Mountainside Family Practice Group. These are free, and it's for children ages 1 to 6 who reside in Montclair, Cedar Grove, and Verona, and also pregnant women who reside in Montclair, Cedar Grove, and Verona. She kind of went went over why you should screen, so I'm not going to go over that again. But once again, the upcoming screenings are on 9/24 and 10/2. If you want to take a picture of that, you are all welcome to come. And then we also just started a consumer-led product testing program where we use a lead testing gun to test different materials or products that you guys will bring to the health department that you want tested. So this can be toys, jewelry, spices, antique houseware, pots, pans, tea kettles, imported items within the above categories. So if you're someone who likes to bring spices from other countries or jewelry from other countries, or if you just want to know what's in your child's toys and you want to get it tested, you can come to our upcoming lead product testing event on October 3rd at the Montclair Municipal Building. And then I will turn it over to Bob.
I'm going to be short and sweet. I'm Bob Jernick, one of the health inspectors in Montclair. Technically, we're called Registered Environmental Health Specialists, which is a very long name for something, just a health inspector. I'm just going to briefly go over what we do. I don't have any PowerPoint slides available, but most of it's been mentioned. I see a few familiar faces. We've been out and about, either on a complaint or a restaurant inspection or something like that. We spend most of our day out of the office, which I really enjoy. I love food. I love thinking about food, talking about food, looking at food, if you can't tell. So we do mostly retail food establishment inspections. So that's your restaurants, school cafeterias. We also have Freeman Hall on Montclair State campus. The assisted living facility kitchens we inspect as well. Concession stands, daycare centers that offer food. Anything related to food being served to a consumer, whether for pay or for free, we're usually involved. We were out at Jazz Fest over the weekend, beautiful day, walking up and down the street just to make sure all the people who applied had what they said they were going to have, and food would be prepared safely, as you can expect as a consumer. We also do public recreational bathing facilities, so the town pools. We also have a pool in Montclair State, condo associations, townhomes, anything with a public pool, we inspect to make sure those are safe, chemically and safety-wise as well. We do youth camps during the summer mostly, so you can send your kids to a camp knowing that there's going to be, they're going to be following the state's parameters. We do body art facilities, so your tattoos, your piercings, semi and permanent cosmetics. We visit them frequently just to make sure that they're following the state's rules as well. Animal facilities, so kennels, shelters, boarding facilities, we visit those to make sure the animals are treated fairly and their facilities are being operated safely as well. Tanning facilities, we don't have too many in Montclair, but the ones that are, those are regulated as well, and we're there to enforce. We also do lead inspections, as Peggy mentioned, which are becoming more frequent, unfortunately. Montclair, you have a beautiful mix of old homes, so you have that charm, that uniqueness that you just can't get anywhere else. With that also comes the risk of lead paint in the home. So every once in a while, we'll get called out to do an environmental intervention. So we go through the home from top to bottom to make sure that if there is any lead-based paint, the homeowner abates it in a manner set forth by the state, so to eliminate that hazard. We also do foodborne illness investigations, emergencies, so if there's a fire at a restaurant, power outage, a water interruption, we go out, make sure the food is safe and taken care of. If not, we offer food handling courses a couple times a year. We're going to start doing it in Spanish as well, now that we have that capability. We offer rabies clinics, so in November probably we're going to schedule a rabies clinic to coincide with the licensing, so that's a little more convenient. So that'll be coming up in November. We don't have the date set yet, but it'll be heavily advertised. Septic tanks, we've had a few old abandoned septic tanks that we've had to observe. We also handle that. Complaint response, so it could be anything from a foodborne illness, infestation in a rental unit or on a property. We've gotten calls about emotional support raccoons in a dentist office. So, you never know what you're going to walk into, but it's usually an eventful day. So It happens. But I keep saying there's nothing I haven't seen before, but every time I say that, I jinx myself, and tomorrow we're going to walk into something even more interesting, I'll say. But it's good. Montclair is great. It's busy, which makes the day go quickly. I meet a lot of great people. I enjoy what I do. And we've been cross-trained to do certain things. So if something pops up like COVID, or we've had Zika, Ebola, COVID, tick-borne diseases, monkeypox, we're able to kind of pivot a little quicker than other similar departments. And I think that's one of our strengths. And I'll leave it at that. So thank you.
Well, thank you to the Health Department. So as they stated, there's material there, there are business cards, and we thank you for being here and sharing all of that wonderful information. Some of it I was unaware that your department did, so thank you for this in-depth presentation. If you have any questions for the Health Department, please just hold them till the end. We do have one more presentation from Mr. Ashley, and he's with the Department of Community Services, also known, or formerly known as DPW. Thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me all right? All right, my name is Austin Ashley. I'm the Director of Community Services for the Township of Montclair. As we stated before, this is the Department of Community Services is more commonly known in other communities as the Department of Public Works. Our situation is a little bit different. We have a number of other departments that fall under our purview. Most recently, we took on the utilities, so parking utility and the water utility, and also the building department. So that's why we have the Department of Community Services and not so much the Department of Public Works. What I do like to say about the Department of Public Works is whether you know it or not, you're using our services every day. So when you wake up in the morning and you brush your teeth, that's Public Works. When you go out and you take out your trash, that's Public Works. You go on the road and you drive to work, that's Public Works. You stop at a stop sign, that's Public Works. So we're out there, and if we're doing our job correctly, you're not going to notice us. When you do notice us, it's pretty obvious. So we try to make the best of the situation that we can. But today we're talking about refuse and recycling in particular. Refuse and recycling are the primary responsibility other than snow removal, as far as I'm concerned, due to its public health implications. If the refuse is not picked up, this can have consequences that ripple through our community and have serious impact on public health. I like to speak with the people in our department who handle the refuse and recycling every day and tell them that they are the backbone of our department and they are the front line, the people that get noticed the most, and that their job is critical, and they do know that. Well, so if in the handouts we have also a QR code for the Recycling Coach app. And the Recycling Coach app is a useful tool that you put your address into the app, and that can give you the notifications, if so select, to tell you when your garbage and recycling days are, as well as bulk waste. They can also do helpful reminders as to what is recyclable and what is not. It also has a section for games to test your knowledge on what is recyclable and what isn't. So it's a useful app. If you take our handout, it is on the second page. You can get the link for that. So what is refuse? Refuse is anything that's basically not recyclable that's decompostable. So your food waste, your pet waste. We actually had a situation in the last few weeks where one of our trucks was denied from the incinerator because our municipal waste goes to an incinerator for radiation. So it's not something you would think that would happen all the time, and thankfully it doesn't. But the reason why it was rejected from the incinerators, if that contamination were to be burned off and get into the atmosphere, it would have pollution. So in that case, what happened was we had to cordon off that garbage truck in our yard, make sure it was a safe distance, and wait for the radiation levels to come down. I say this to remind you that it's not everything can be put into the garbage. Not everything can be put into the recycling. There are rules and regulations. In that case, we believe the problem was medical waste. Unfortunately, someone along that refuse route had a medical condition, did not follow the guidelines that were included with their medical procedure, and got rid of the waste inappropriately. Now, unfortunately for us, after a few weeks, the radiation levels came down to an acceptable level, and we were able to dispose of the waste. For recycling, that is a more nuanced commodity, and that is what it is. It is a commodity. You may have noticed in the bottom of your water bottles or food containers that there is a triangle. And inside that triangle, there is a number. We only accept certain numbers. And the reason certain numbers are in the acceptable category is there is a market for those materials. Not too long ago, there was, oh, thank you. He's a magician. Not too long ago, there was a change in the global market for what we call commingled material. That's your bottles and your cans. That market basically disappeared overnight, and there was no place to take the material, causing the price for the department to get rid of that material to skyrocket. Now, that has eased off a bit. The market has changed a bit, but what has really caused the drive in the price change was the cardboard and paper. Interestingly, the paper and cardboard has increased over the years while bottles and cans have decreased. Predominantly, cardboard has become the majority of our mixed papers. In the past, we all used to get newspapers. That is not what comes to the door anymore. The cardboard boxes are because of Amazon and home delivery. Now that does cause more recycling, but we do get paid for that currently. That can change on a month-to-month basis. So at this point in time, for the last few months, our commingle recycling costs have been offset by the cardboard revenue, which is an interesting fact and is not guaranteed to continue. So we'll see what happens. So as I can say, the mixed paper, these are things that you can recycle. Newspapers, but less common now. Magazines, catalogs. What we're really looking for to recycle is the cardboard. So please, more Amazon shopping. The things that are not recyclable, these are products that have contained food, have been contaminated by food, or they're products that are coated in a wax coating to make them waterproof. And the reason why that is not acceptable is the way that the recycling material is processed. It gets put into a vat and is with water, and it is turned into a pulp. Those contaminants stall that process and can actually cause the machine to break down. So that's why we have the saying, when in doubt, throw it out. If it is contaminated, do not put it into the recycling stream. The first sort starts with you, the consumer. The second one is us on the back of the truck. Let's see. So along lines with the, as I said before, you have the 1, the 2, and the 5. Those are the marketable materials. What is not marketable and what is not recyclable are things such as plate glass windows, dishes. I had my start of my career on the back of a recycling truck. I could tell you, you get some odd things in the back of the. It was not uncommon to get blenders or flip flops or bowling balls. None of those things are recyclable in the commingle, but it does happen. And again, food trays, plastic cups. These are things that have been contaminated by food waste. And so, when in doubt, throw it out. At this point, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Acting Superintendent Michael Lynch. He can speak a little bit more about our bulky waste program. Michael, you want to come on up? Good luck with that.
I don't need it. Good afternoon, everybody. Michael Lynch, Acting Superintendent of DCS/DPW. Now, the bulky waste program. As I ride around the town, I see that there's a lot of mattresses out that are not covered. Can we please start getting them covered with plastic bags from Home Depot or your hardware store? The mattresses is a big issue for us. People are just throwing out the mattresses, used mattresses, and when y'all call up and complaining about them, which is okay. You have to have them wrapped up in a plastic bag. Going forward, also, there are a limit on large items, sofas, couches. There's 3 big tickets, and that's it. I mean, the small tickets we could, as long as it can fit in the can, we're good. So 3 big tickets, meaning dressers, sofas. Per pickup, every other Wednesday. So the 4th ward is the 2nd and the 4th Wednesday down this way. What he said about the recycling, going back to that, we also had swimming pools, plastic swimming pools. That's not recyclable. We could put that out for bulky waste. We also have problems with the bulky waste as far as leaf bags. That's not bulky waste. That is actually leaf pickup, which is on your recycling day, which is Thursday. Metal, we have a metal box in the yard, which is at 219 North Fullerton. Y'all can bring that up Saturday from the hours of 9 to 1 a.m., 1 p.m., 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Also, there are televisions that go out, which cannot go out. Y'all have to bring that up to the DPW yard as well. I mean, that's basically it for the bulky waste, but I'm gonna go a little further in the snow program, which is very important because it's coming up. Parking is an issue. When we're out there, we need the streets cleared. We will work with the parking utility to open up parking decks. I'm sure the school lots will probably be open as well, but we need the streets cleared. And also, if you see stop signs, traffic lights out, please call the police immediately so they can notify DCS and we can take care of it immediately.
All right. Just one thing I forgot to mention. If we go back to the garbage cans themselves. The 35-gallon can requirement, that's what the ordinance calls for. The reason why it's 35 gallons is what you have to remember is there are people on the back of this truck that need to be able to lift those cans. Now, with the larger cans, and we've all seen them around town. There's people have the large cans, and I don't blame them because it is more convenient. But what that requires the people on the back of the truck to do is grab into those cans. They're too heavy to be lifted. So when they grab into the garbage cans, becomes a safety issue. There's no telling what could be in there. It could be an animal. It could be something that could prick or poke them. It's not uncommon to have hypodermic needles in the trash, even though, as I said, those are not supposed to be in there. So that is why we have the limitation on the 35-gallon cans. It is to encourage our loaders to physically pick them up and dump them. That also is a benefit to the homeowner or the resident. If we can dump those cans, there shouldn't be any residual garbage left in the can. And that speaks to the other problem that we have with our refuse program, is the situation with the rats and the rodents. The cans, if they're not fully emptied, they will attract vermin. If the cans are not lidded, they will attract vermin. We have a slide, I think. Let's see. If it goes back, we did that one. There's sprays that you could use to put in the can to deter the animals from coming in there. But please cover the cans. Don't put garbage bags on the curb without a can. I'm sure we've all seen that the animals will get in there and trash will be strewn all over the road. So it is recommended that you do not put out the refuse earlier than 6 p.m. the night before pickup. Do you want to say anything about the pickup?
And the wind advisories.
Oh, yeah, I can speak to that, yeah.
And also, speaking about that, the 6 a.m., if there's a wind advisory out, please don't put it out until we say put it out, because that's very important. If there's a wind advisory that goes out, please follow that, because it will be all over the streets, and it's going to be a mess to pick up. We'll put it out the night before, and hopefully everybody can follow that, so everything could be clean and safe for everybody.
All right, that's it. Yeah, we're done. All right. Thank you.
You have handouts?
Yes, they should have handouts, but I'll put these on the table over there.
Okay, thank you. I think you took my notebook. I think so. That's all right. So again, thank you to Mr. Ashley and his team for being here. I had Department of Public Works, DCS, come because some residents at the last meeting had a lot of concerns, thank you, regarding rodents and garbage. So we've heard it here first. If you can talk to your neighbors and let them know what you've learned today about what recycling can go out, et cetera. Mr. Ashley can be reached via email. His information is on the township website. And the presentation of the hour is our superintendent of parking here. Manny, would you like to come up? We have some residents that have some concerns. I know we've gotten a lot of emails about overnight parking and parking on the street and people getting tickets. So I just wanted Manny to be here today to let the residents know what's going on and new. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Manny Germano, or Emmanuel Germano, but everybody calls me Manny. I know there's some concerns about some of the overnight parking. Since we've taken over, the police department during COVID stopped enforcing parking in the overnight hours. And then we were tasked with taking that over. We have been using something called LPR, which is license plate recognition. That's why you may see some vehicles parked on your streets, and you may think, oh, this person doesn't have any permits. However, the license plate is now your permit. So we're using that both on the streets for overnight parking. We're using that for single-use permits, so instead of the scratch-offs. And we're also using that in the commuter lots for the commuters as well. Again, I know some of the streets, we're trying to get to every street, but we have 2 people working overnight, and to try and cover the whole town, it's very difficult to get to every street every night. So we're basically setting up a grid system where we cover a certain part of town one day, a certain part of the other town another day, trying not to keep that, so that we're not trying to make it so that people are not ready for us to come that particular night and happen to park their cars in the driveway that night, and then the next night they're parked out on the street. So we're trying to cover as much as we can. That's basically all I have as far as the overnight parking goes. I'm here for anybody has any questions. Anybody can reach me at that number. If I'm not there because I happen to be out in the field, I will get back to you. Please leave a message. If nobody picks up, please leave a message, because we don't know if we don't know who was that's calling. We get a lot of spam calls. So please leave us a message, and we will get back to you. That's about it. If anybody has any questions about parking, I know that some of the streets. I know one other thing I want to add. I know some of the streets. There are some ordinances that are basically in the works. We'll see. Okay, to be discussed. One other thing I want to mention: the parking utility does not make up the rules. We just enforce the rules. The governing body are the ones who make up the rules. So, if there's anything that you need to be changed or you would like to see changed, the parking utility cannot change it. So just want to make sure clear of that, because we get a lot of phone calls, people saying, well, why aren't you letting us park here? Or why are you doing this? Or why are you doing that? And it's really not our fault. So I just want to make sure that everybody's aware of that. Any questions? Okay. If you do have any. And I already put out a text for you for your situation, by the way, so you're aware.
But back with the overnight parking, the street cleaner, when he comes, he hasn't cleaned in front of our house, I'll say maybe 8 or 9, because there's always a parked car in front of my house, and I told you that. I have a camera. I know when the cops come out my street, because there's always a car in front of my house. So if I don't get a notification, that means the cop didn't come. I'm telling you. I can send you clips, but my point is, and they were right about the garbage. We put our garbage out. If they come down the street, they won't get my garbage. But if they come up, they will. And I always have to call and have somebody come get my garbage, because somebody's car, which I don't have any control over, is sitting in front of our house. It's usually one of my neighbors that doesn't want to pull into their driveway. And it's the same cars, nonstop. That's why I told you, I know they don't have permits. Because when they do get a ticket, they start parking in their driveway, maybe 2 or 3 days, then they're back on the street again, because they know you're not coming.
We'll try to hit as many streets as we can as for the repeat offenders. But like I said, it's hard for us to be on one particular street every single night. And that's fine. And that's no, you will. Also, Michael and I work hand in hand, because we both work for Mr. Ashley. So we work hand in hand as far as this street sweeping.
Yes.
So I'm going to let him speak on as far as that goes.
As far as this,
Yeah, there's another question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead with yours, it's fine.
as far as the street sweeping goes, I've been working on trying to get every street done in the whole entire town. So if you see no parking and things get handed out, please keep the cars off the street, because your cars will get ticketed and towed. So I started it, and I'm gonna continue doing it throughout the whole years going forward. So the street sweeper will be coming. I can't give you an exact day or time frame, but we are coming.
And we are doing, and they're doing it. And as far as the street sweeping goes, it's not going to be done overnight. It's going to be done during the day. So they will post it and they will clean it that particular day. So that's what he was saying about if you see emergency, no parking. I'm sorry, there was somebody else.
You're saying that it's posted when you're sweeping the street? Because on Brooklawn, I don't know the last time our street was swept. We sweep our own curbsides.
All right, there's one street sweeper for this town. There's one street sweeper for this entire town right now. And we're trying to get to every street, but it's impossible as every street has been swept in a year. I've done it myself, and I swept every street. I have maps. We do maps for this particular reason. They have been touched. Every street has been touched.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. This information is, is very helpful, and I know everyone really appreciates it. But I have this feeling that, there's a lot of people who aren't in the room who don't know this information, and, there's nothing really to encourage them to go on the website and look for the information. Perhaps the town could do a mail it to every resident, or every
That's a good idea. That's a very good idea, yes.
Because especially the recycling information, because I wear glasses, but I still, they don't help that, they don't help enough. And I really can't do anything up against the screen, it's just that in front row. But anyway, I've been recycling, since I was in the 7th grade, at Benjamin Franklin Junior High School in Ridgewood, New Jersey. They brought in these big containers, and everybody went down there and brought all their recycling and knew what to do. That's like 1968, and here it is 2024, and I don't know if I'm doing my recycling right. And I know my kids don't do the recycling right, but I can't tell them how to do it right. So hopefully, the town could, do a mailing and then reinforce, maybe educate the kids in public schools.
That's an excellent idea. I mean, something like a little postcard or something like that would probably fix that problem, what you're saying. So I guess Mr. Ashley and I can talk about that. See if we can maybe do something like that. Sorry, go ahead. Mr. Scott? Mr. Scott?
This question is for Mr. Ashley. Has there been a consolidation within the township? I know there used to be a director of the water department, parks department, parking authority, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you introduced yourself as now responsible for those different departments that used to have department heads.
Yes, we had a retirement for the Director of Utilities. And in the meantime, if there's going to be a replacement, I'm not sure, but in the meantime, I've been placed with those responsibilities.
So you've taken the responsibility on at least 3 additional department heads? 2.
Okay.
And I guess this would be a question for the council members. At some point in time, are we going to be doing replacing these positions? Because living in the township for many years, the structure from the administration standpoint, but having these specific department heads has been pretty efficient. Not to say Mr. Ashley is not doing a good job, but we're looking for productivity and to give one individual those 3 major responsibilities within the township would be a little concerning.
Thank you, Mr. Scott. We'll take that into consideration. As I stated earlier in the meeting, we have our deputy mayor here with us, Susan Shin Anderson, so she's listening. We have Norma Tassi in the audience. She's our director of code enforcement, amongst other jacks of trades at 205. But I would advise you to come to public comment and speak to the full council and express your concerns about what it used to be and how it worked versus what we have here. Not that Mr. Ashley and his crew are not doing a great job, but perhaps the whole council needs to hear from you. Is there another question tonight? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Miss Betty.
One street sweeper is an awesome job. That must be pretty tough for him. I know we have a shared services agreement with the township and the fire department. Do we have shared services with some other townships? Say they have a street sweeping operation where on the day that he's doing the street sweeping, someone else could be working in another part of town. Do we do anything like that?
I'll let Mr. Ashley answer that question.
No, currently we do not have any shared services with any other Department of Public Works. We have been in communication with our neighboring towns to set up relationships, so when we are in need, it's not unlike when you have your neighbor and you need to borrow a cup of sugar. It's we do have communication with them, and the response and the relationships we have are good. So it's not something that's out of the question. It's happened where we've had to, in some cases, borrow from other departments. So it is a very good idea. All right.
Is there, yes. Sure, go ahead, dear.
My name is Margaret Whitson. I live on Oxford Street. But my question is actually about taxes. Recently, I signed up for automatic payments for my utility bill and my taxes, and I got a notice the day before the money was to be withdrawn. And then I got a delinquent notice just a few days ago, and Monday I went to the tax department and said, the money was supposed to be withdrawn. I did just notice that it wasn't. And I got this late notice, and the woman at the tax department said, well, we have hired this service, and you must be one of about 10 or 15 people for whom the service was not able to provide the service. Did you get an email to that effect? I said, no, I never did, but I had to pay a $75 fee, delinquent fee. And I said, how is that going to be refunded to me? And she said, well, I have no power to do that because we had hired this service. So I don't know what my recourse is. I do have the email that indicated that the money would be withdrawn from my account. It was not withdrawn. And I had to manually go in and pay the taxes. And then I had to pay the late fee. So I don't know how that might be addressed, but I'd be interested in some assistance.
You want the microphone, Susan?
Can y'all hear me? Yeah. Okay. Thank you for bringing that up because I was made aware of at least one other resident in the second ward who had the same problem. I reported that. So it is being addressed. I can't tell you exactly how right now, but if I could get your name and your contact information, that would be really great.
Thank you.
Yep, sorry if that happened to you.
Oh, well, it's just, I was surprised that the woman in the tax office said, well, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do.
Right,
And,
right. You weren't the only one, as Deputy Mayor Shin Anderson stated. Some other people were complaining the same thing happened.
Someone had obviously been in just a
Yeah.
few minutes before
And-
me, and I said, well,
Mhm.
that should indicate there needs to be.
Right, and the township manager is aware, so as soon as we get an answer, I have your information, we'll get an answer to you. Is there another question tonight? Yes, ma'am, Ms. Roman.
Really quick, I can read that. I use my outside voice. Oh, okay. I was going to say, we use my outside voice. Couple of questions. I think, one, I want to reiterate what some of these other folks were saying about communication. Though we have a very small population here, we have a lot of people who cannot be at these meetings, or it's difficult to be here. I think the first thing has to be a communication that is clear and is effective in its message. One, how do you recycle? Two, what does the garbage look like? Three, what are the pickup dates? Four, what is code enforcement? And I say this because I'm on Washington Avenue, and I've sent you some emails about it, but we've got an influx of some new folks who moved in. And I can't tell you the number of times I've come out to see their white garbage bags on the curb ripped up. And, I've got a lovely new fox who's decided to make their home underneath my bushes because he knows he's going to get fed every 2 days. So I think, the communication needs to be very, very clear. But I also urge you to begin to do that code enforcement. Even if it's going door to door and knocking on the door and saying, hey, we've noticed this, we've seen this, or whatever it's going to be, but it has to be clear, it has to be effective. A lot of our residents are not online. Remember, we have a larger senior citizen population that may not access it through internet, but it has to be clear. And that is one of the things I'm hearing all across the board is that the things that we're putting out there are they're so large. It's just like getting a school notice, right? We get a school notice and there's 19 things on there. So maybe your brain catches 5. Maybe they go out at separate times. Maybe they go out on dates that, coincide with bulk pickup. But whatever it is, it has to be clear clear, and it must hit every single resident by name. And I know this is information you have. If you send me something that says resident, 99% of the time I'm throwing it away because I think it's just a mailer. It has to be addressed to that person so they actually pay attention. So just wanted to reiterate that.
Thank you for that. I appreciate your comments and your suggestions. I'm sure we can go back and put our heads together and come up with something that hopefully will address many of the concerns you brought here tonight. I do agree the communication from the township to residents is a little antiquated. We need to think about people from 18 to 88. Everybody receives information differently. So I thank you for those comments. Yes, you have a question? Yeah, you had your hand up? They need the mic because it's being recorded, so that's the only reason we're asking people to use the mic. Thank you.
People have addressed this in the board basis, and these comments and questions have been great. And one of the methods that I used to rely on was the paper calendar that issued from the township. And the back page, they had the recycling guidelines. And I've gone down the job, but for years, they list the aseptic, like milk carton type containers under both to recycle and not to recycle. And it's been the same text that's been repeated every year. I live in the third ward, and there's a building across from my large building where last week they put the garbage out what our pickup was Monday. They put it out on Sunday in the morning. Because that's probably when they had somebody available to take it out. Not in cans, in bags. So it was sitting there all day Sunday night. And I guess that would be a report that's code enforcement.
Yeah, that would be a code enforcement call. Thank you for that. Sorry that happened to you. We definitely have some work to do. Yes, ma'am. You have a question? Yes. Tony up front. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't see. I apologize. Go ahead.
I have a question about parking. What are the rules, or is it a process to request the yellow color thing on the edge of my driveway? Because cars usually, they don't know how far they should be there, how close to the driveway would be, and sometimes the whole trunk of the car is in my driveway. Luckily, I have a private driveway, but sometimes it's a struggle because people think I have it on two sides. One is the whole front of the car is one quarter of my driveway, the other back of the car is another quarter of my driveway, so I try to squeeze between. So there's a process to request, like the white line that's on the side, or a yellow on the actual side of the way. Now I brought home just to let people know.
Sure. I understand. I know exactly where your property is. You're on the corner. Do you have an answer for him, Mr. Ashley? No, I get it. I understand. I have trouble at our own driveway. Right. Thank you.
Sure, you could just, if you call the Department of Community Services tomorrow and give your name and address, we'll come out and take a look at the issue. Yep.
That was easy enough. Sure, go ahead.
Sorry, I did forget to mention, I know the counselor mentioned it before. If anybody's parked in, sorry about that. If anyone is parked in the deck across the street and would like me to have the ticket validated, please come and see me at the end of the meeting, and I have a sticker for you, okay? So.
Thank you. Is there another question? Yes, ma'am.
I have one more question. I used to teach at Glenfield.
Got to use the mic. Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I used to teach at Glenfield, and you had someone in the town that used to, Gray was his name, and he came and did wonderful presentations for the children about composting and worms and so forth. And I remember that he said that there was some conversation about putting compost containers somewhere in the town, and we could take our compost there to be taken someplace to be reused, disposed of properly, which would cut down on some of the rodent issues and so forth in town. So I do want to know if there's any movement towards that. And By the way, I would love to work with you on getting some education programs back in the schools, make it a part of the curriculum so children learn about recycling and compost. Mr. Gray, we used to have him come at least once a year to teach children about it. And the children, we hope, are our future for Montclair. So let's get them now and get them to stay and be a part of this town in that way.
I appreciate that. Yes, our Office of Sustainability, Lisa Johnson, she was here earlier. She's been really active in trying to get a lot of environmental things underway, particularly here in the 4th Ward. I will share your concerns with her, and then you're going to send me an email on something else anyway, and we'll connect. Eric, did you have a... Okay, but I think Eric, did you want to respond to this young lady's? Okay, so that's the only reason I went to Eric, because she had a question about composting in the schools, and he's one of our board members.
I'm Eric Scherz, I'm on the school board. The environmental officer of the town, in cooperation with a couple of environmental teachers in the school, has just put in a grant proposal for a super industrial compactor one to go at Bullock and one at Watchung School. This is a huge machinery, $35,000 piece of equipment with all the stuff to go along with it to begin to recycle food waste from the cafeteria. So as a pilot project, and also as you were talking about, to use as I don't know. I think it's will be available to the community, and I don't know who we're going to win the grant. But the idea is that it's not only going to be used to take care of the waste and reduce the garbage that we have to dispose of, but also as part of the educational program, as you were talking about. So
thank you, Eric. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
First, I want to say thank you for the presentation on recycling, because I've just learned a lot. And I was just suggesting if it can be passed on to buildings, so like residents in buildings can also be educated on what is recyclable, because sometimes the super does not always relay the message. And also to make sure that it's in other languages for the people in the township who do not speak English. And that's what I wanted to say. And then for the garbage pickup, I've had issues, I live right on Pine Street, where sometimes they block the driveway, and when you're talking to them about it, because they can actually come in and park on the side and still pick up the garbage. And we have people in the building who are going to dialysis, doctor's appointments, and when you're talking to them, it's like, we're doing our job, but you don't have to inconvenience others while you're doing your job, especially when people have to go to medical appointments. So I just wanted to speak on that. And before everybody leaves, I have Vision Zero stuff on the table. Please make sure that you take information so that you can know about Vision Zero in the township. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Mr. Ashley, did you want to address anything regarding the trucks blocking driveways, or?
Well, yeah, we do try and impress upon our employees that they are representatives of the township, as I said before, and they are the first line, and they need to be cognizant of that fact and be more aware that what they say matters. So I will reiterate to them that they need to be more aware of what they're doing.
Thank you. Is there another question? I'm going to hear from someone I haven't heard from yet. Is that okay? This young lady here, and then I'll go here and there. Thank you. Hi.
So I'm going to pivot slightly in terms of question. And I hear you saying about there's people who can't come to the meeting, but I really need to take it a step further in saying that, particularly with the 4th Ward, there's somewhat a lack of trust or confidence with the response to our work, particularly. I went to Glenville. I am I try to be the future, or the now, really, because we are needed. But we can't afford to live here, right? So it's really unfortunate because there is this unspoken norm in Montclair where people come here, because we're like the little New York, right? There's restaurants, there's all these activities. Look at Wolf Ave, you know, all these options. The people in Fourth Ward, a lot of them can't even afford to go to these restaurants. We look at where Pathmark was, if we all know where Pathmark was. We can't go there because there's cars, people, restaurant, all enjoying themselves, which is wonderful for the town, but those profits are not then returned to the communities who are living in it. And so it's really unfortunate because, so I have my master's degree now, and I'm a state employee now, so I still can't afford to live in Montclair. And I'm with my mom, who is a home core resident, who is going through an eviction process because we're trying to actively fight for, although we have affordable housing, the units that are available are not healthy. I'm sure there's lead. I know that there's all these different things. But we've had other tenants, we're not unique. There's so many tenants that feel unheard and feel as though we've been living here for decades and generations, and unfortunately, the families who tend to have homes in this community are those who have lived here for generations, not ones who are purchasing new homes now because we've been priced out completely. And so I want to just bring awareness to the fact that although Montclair is a thriving town, the reality is we have a high economic segregated population which resides in the Fourth Ward that consistently seems as though it's being ignored. And so the fact that someone who doesn't have access to a vehicle has to then take multiple buses or whatever it may be just to get groceries is unacceptable. And so when I look at, and it's frustrating for me where I understand that, and I recognize there's people who I went to run with who are doing the recycling and the garbage pickup, and I applaud them tremendously, but there's other conversations that are not being addressed within our community. And so when I look around, I see familiar faces, but I see a lot that aren't here, and unfortunately, although Fourth Ward I always think of, unfortunately, as a forgotten ward, there's so much pride that stems from this ward, and I just wish that affordable housing and the not just the access to it, but the health of it. Our kids are growing up, we want them to be here, but how unfortunate it is for my mom and other people like her to be being evicted for trying to stand up for their rights, to say we need our properties fixed that are not being responded to, which are, by the way, reported to the township already, which is documented. Yet, we see all these new high-rises popping up. So, it's just like our community is shrinking while Montclair grows. And that's really unfortunate.
Two things. I hear you. It's one of the reasons I ran. Second thing is the issues that you're having with HomeCorp, if you can hang back a little bit after the meeting so I can take your information. As the former vice chair for the Landlord Tenant Advisory Committee, I had to step down to get into this role. I want to speak to you about that. And I agree with you on affordable housing and some of us being ignored, if you will. I receive that, I respect that. The best thing that I could advise you to do, besides the issue going on currently with you, is I'm encouraging every resident, if we can go back to my slide for town council meetings, if you don't come to these meetings and have your say in public comment, I am one person, I am one vote. The entire council needs to hear from you. That's my wish, that's my advice, okay? Because I can't do it by myself. I need you all with me, okay? Because there's some projects coming up, some things coming down the pike. I can go in an executive session and stomp my feet and scream and holler, etc., but I'm one vote. If you want us to hear you, you have to bring us your voice. That's all I wanted to say to that without getting in any more trouble up here. So I'm going to speak to y'all. Next question. Yes, ma'am, in the back.
Hi, thank you. I heard your comments. I think everyone who lives in town, no matter where they live, has a right, I think everyone who lives here in town, no matter where they live, if they're a renter or a homeowner, deserves to live in a place that's habitable and that you can, feel safe in. So I hope that you are, in contact with tenant advocates, people who can help. I also ran on a platform of affordability, okay? I think that, and as I'm, learning more about what's going on in town, I think that it's a very complicated issue. I think part of it is, as what you're saying, that there's an issue with people not being able to buy homes and stay here. Rents are going up. That's sort of a regional thing. And I don't think there's any one solution, unfortunately. But there are things that we can do, that we can pursue as a town. We can look to see, if there are opportunities to develop affordable, 100% affordable units. If there's senior housing, supported housing, if we can get developments to commit, developers to commit to a higher percentage of affordable units for lower and moderate income people. I think our goal should really be to try to help our residents be able to stay here, age in place. So as I said, it's a very complicated issue, but I completely hear you. I used to work in legal aid in the housing unit. I understand some of the issues that a lot of people are facing in town, especially people who are living in like apartment buildings that are neglected, quite frankly. So I'd like to get your information as well, and we'll work together to see what kind of solutions we can come up with, okay?
Thank you. I think the other part of her concern was that the Fourth Ward isn't being heard, so we need to make sure that when you and I talk with the rest of the council, that they understand how residents feel, okay?
Well, that's why I'm here, okay? I'm an at-large counselor, and I want to listen to everybody. Your concerns are the concerns of an entire town. And so, that's exactly why I'm here. I'm here to listen. I'm here to get your feedback. And, there's a lot of other things that I wanted to respond to, such as, the issue about people wanting to, there are a lot of requests for overnight parking. With that particular issue, if I may, we are getting a lot of requests for people to park on streets overnight in all four wards. But can I just say, I'm glad that you mentioned the street cleaning, because that is actually something that I hear on the flip side, that reasons why people don't want to allow overnight parking. So, yeah.
So I get people park overnight. We have people coming from Ward Place, and I see them park their car because they know nobody's coming to Pleasant Way. And the guy stopped the one time they came and ticketed. I haven't seen him since, but before they ticketed, he would drive from Ward Place to Pleasant Way and park his car. And that went on for about 3 weeks.
Next question? Yes. You, young lady?
Yeah, I just wanted to, it's a...
Wait for the microphone, because it's being recorded. Thank you.
Okay. Respectfully to Commissioner Anderson, I really have to say that I think that the concerns of the Fourth Ward are not like everybody else's concerns, and they're not shared, because the Fourth Ward and a little bit of the Third Ward too have taken on 1,000 new housing units in the last decade, where the first and second have not. For the reality is that the more expensive apartments that are built, the worse it gets for everybody else. In our own complex, I know you and I own our apartments, but half the apartments are rented out to people. And in the last decade, rents have gone as much as doubled in our building because they can get away with it because of all the new construction. So, I think this trade-off of saying, well, we're going to get a couple of affordable units, the more expensive things that are built, the more it is destroying, I don't want to say it, the working class, middle class, the people who are not in finance making a tremendous amount of money. You know, it can't be that we can't have school teachers and bus drivers and nurses and people with honest jobs being able to stay here. And, you know, for someone who said about, you know, the kids being the future, most of the people I know who are third and fourth generation, their kids and their grandkids can't live here. This is a huge problem for me. This is why I'm involved with it. So respectfully, the problems of the fourth ward are very unique, and they're not shared by everybody.
Thank you for your comment, and I agree. Is there another question? Yes.
Greetings, peace and blessings. First, I want to thank you that you're meeting, that the AC is not so high as the freezing cold. I was at a board meeting last night, school board meeting. It was so cold, even though it was 60-something degrees outside, people were freezing. I'm a person of the sun, so we can't take all that freezing atmosphere while just trying to keep up with school business, right? So a couple of things. One, I've noticed that when I see construction done on homes everywhere else, they tend to have like that big plastic tarp up. Only in the fourth ward do I see dust blowing out of the homes while it's being constructed. Two, I agree with everything the young lady up there said. But I just want to hone in a little bit less ambiguously because I think Black Montclair is being priced out of here. There is one woman who has gentrified just these 4 corners alone. One white woman has gentrified this whole area. You know I don't want anything from you. You just said you don't threaten to sit behind me. No, Karen, keep it. So what I want to make clear is our situation is unique to no other in the country and in this ward. Back in the day, you know, most people said fourth ward and then meant African American or of African descent. That's not the case now. So I'm just curious. I just want to have an open communication with you. You guys did mention a presentation a week ago at the council meeting that was not able to go forward. I'm interested in hearing those facts. Do you want to know about it? Because she mentioned home court. I believe it's really hard for us to stay here. People who have invested here, people who have even buried our parents here. It's hard for us to be here. And we don't really have representation because people are afraid to deal with issues of race, and especially racism and Black oppression. And we need to have that type of open dialogue in order to have progress. The home court piece and eviction. My relative was evicted out of home court. I was on that list decades ago and never got called. When my house caught on fire and I became displaced, there was nothing real and relevant in Montclair for persons who are, you know, you're just a working person. You're not struggling with, and this is no disrespect or judgment towards anyone. It's not domestic violence. It's not mental illness. It's not drug abuse. Just a regular person working their 9 to 5. There was nothing to help my family from falling between the gaps. And those are the things I'm interested in. I also don't understand how people can be evicted from home court. I don't even understand how people who have an eviction on their credit are kept from getting into home court housing. That's the whole reason why that exists, to keep people from homelessness. So you're going to block out people who have proven that they're the ones who need that type of assistance. So I just think we have a problem in Montclair. You heard me say this before. I think we do things a decade too late, specifically how it impacts all people, but definitely Black people. Because you know that saying that when America catches a cold, Black people catch the flu. We're way too slow when it comes to doing anything that's relevant and progressive for us.
So 1 second, I just wanted to thank Ms. Sweat for her comments. Again, the reason I ran was for full transparency, to ensure that some things in the fourth ward are protected and preserved, because I do see what's happening in the ward, okay? Again, I'm one vote, one voice. The meetings are on the screen here. Please bring your concerns, your comments to the full council. Some of my colleagues may not understand or really process what has happened in the fourth ward. Why? They don't live here, okay? So I can't do it all. I need all of you to do it with me, okay? We're gonna make some effective change. Yes, in the back? Okay, was there another question? There's, okay, then we'll get to, okay. Sure, yes, Ms. Bouknight. Oh,
Councilwoman Amina, I just want to thank you for all you do.
thank you.
And just to let everybody know here that you mean what you say, because I've been on the committee with her, landlords and tenants, and I know that she's a strong advocate when it comes to housing in this township. And speaking on the housing issue, with the affordable homes or apartments, I know people in the disabled community where, you know, they're some of the people that really need affordability. But then we have these gimmicks of fees. I know someone right now who is an affordable unit, but it's not really affordable because even though she doesn't drive, she has to pay a $175 parking fee just for her aide to come assist her. These are the things that needs to be addressed when it comes to affordable housing. Whereas when it comes to affordablehomes.com, when you get a lottery in different townships, parking is included, but it's not in Montclair. And if it's not included, it's a small fee as $50 a month. So something also needs to be done about that. Thank you.
I'll take a look at that. Thank you for your comment. Was there another question before? Oh.
Oh, yes, thank you, Councilor Toller. I think as you know that I'm expending a tremendous amount of effort working on the affordable housing issue. I'm treasurer for the State County Habitat for Humanity, and unfortunately, the Greater Newark Habitat, which serves Hudson, Union, and Essex County, unfortunately, all they do is critical repairs. They don't build. At the State County Habitat for Humanity, we build affordable housing, but just so that everybody understands, affordable housing is a little bit of a misnomer. It's subsidized. So to make safe, secure houses affordable for people to live in. So in order to be affordable, it can't be, you know, your housing cost can't be more than 30% of your income. And I've been looking at that woman, Dolgan, who bought up a whole lot of homes on Mission, New, Weber, and Washington, and I've done an analysis. I've looked at some of them have been sold, you know, for over $1 million. Some of them are being rented. And, you know, here's an example. 1113 Washington Street, the latest rental rate that I found is $4,950 per unit per month. The income for that to be affordable is $198,000 a year. 1012 Washington Street is the latest rent that I found is $6,000 per unit. The income for that unit to be affordable is $240,000 a year. 79 Mission Street, same thing. 21 New Street, 13 Wheeler Street was listed at $6,100 a month. That's $244,000 a year. Now these particular properties, the reason why I selected them is because they all went before the zoning board. And the zoning board granted, I have a list of 17 properties between those 4 streets that I mentioned, and they all got bulk and setback variances, every single one of them. And so the other result, besides making these neighborhoods that were once affordable, was they've been converted into luxury housing, and on top of that, the density has been increased because of the reduced, you know, they gave them variances on setbacks and bulk, and increased imperviousness. So this is a really, really serious problem. And everybody, I think, you know, it was happening and we didn't see it happen. And another thing that I discovered is that there was no public comment at any of the zoning board hearings for any of these particular properties. And I found that out because I own a house on Wheeler Street. And I got notified about 5-Wheeler, so I went to the meeting. But when 13-Wheeler went for a hearing, there was no one there. There were people there for 5-Wheeler. But how come I didn't get notified for 13-Wheeler? I got notified for 5-Wheeler, but no notification for 13-Wheeler. And all 17 applications for variances, there was no public comment. I went through all the minutes for every meeting.
Well, thank you for that comment, and I appreciate the work that you've done thus far, Ms. Avery. I know that you submitted some documents to the council. I will make sure that I email the council and Mr. LaPola to see what we can do to really get this under control, because there are some serious issues. Some of my colleagues may not understand it, may not want to address it. I understand it, I know it, I see it. If this family here from Home Corp is facing eviction, we have a problem. We have a problem, and it needs to be looked at. So I thank you for your work. Is there another question? No more questions? You sure? All right, with that being said, I thank you all for coming out this evening. If you did sign in, please note you will be added to my database. There's some materials here from the health department. Manny has the parking tickets if you've parked in the deck. The next meeting will be in November. If you signed up, you'll get an email from me.